Women's History Month, there was not really a particular day talking about Latina women or celebrating Latina women. So I started along with other faculty and staff, this day, Latina Day. And I remember we started with a luncheon entre nosotras, and just basically to have a conversation and to connect. The response was overwhelming. We had women from all across campus, faculty, staff, people from women from maintenance, that felt that for the first time, they were invited to the table. And that was something really meaningful because we needed that conversation. And we're trying to remember the exact year. We know it was in the late 90s, sometime in the late 1990, probably 96 or 97, that this day was started, and we have been celebrating it ever since. Today, I feel very overjoyed and emotional because I get to spend a few hours with a woman that I have so much love, admiration, and respect for. And that is Dr. Esmilda Abreu. She's an award-winning diversity and equity powerhouse who has worked in higher education, healthcare, state institution to create purposeful and mindful change. Dr. Abreu teaches at MSU in the MBA program and serves as the Associate Vice President of Student Affairs and Dean of Students at Manhattan College. Querida amiga, bienvenida a tu casa. Sentémonos y gracias por el mensaje que va a traernos hoy. Welcome home, our dear Esmilda. It's all yours.
What a wonderful introduction. Thank you, Carmen. And I have to say, it's undescribable to describe, to talk about coming back to Montclair State. Montclair State continues to be a home to me. And I have wonderful, wonderful, wonderful memories and friendships here at the university. I'm especially excited about Women's History Month, right? As I am always every year. And then to be invited on Latina Day. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. So I can't tell you how grateful I am. And I want to thank the hosts of the Latino, Latina, Latinx Caucus, and the steering committee and all the members that I know create the events, not only for Women's History Month, but throughout the year, and for allowing me to come back on such an absolute perfect occasion, and hopefully share some timely thoughts with you. So gracias, gracias, gracias. I want to talk a little bit about my contemplative journey and why we settled on this topic, Sientate, Contemplative Approaches to Radical Self-Care. Let's see, did we share screen? All right, because it's not moving.
Yes, we did.
All right. Down here, okay. Yep, okay. So I've been meditating since I was 11 years old. I was born in the Dominican Republic, and I come from a very multicultural, multi-religious family. And one of my aunts, I always think about my sort of the gift of my foremothers, right? All of those matriarchs in my family, took me to a Siddha Yoga ashram at 11. And I've been meditating under the lineage of Siddha Yoga, receiving Shaktipat from Guru Muktananda, and then later guidance from Guru Shidvalasananda since that time. Folks, I am 52 years old. That is 41 years of sitting lotus position. So I have to tell you, this is very much my life's work. And what it did when I started thinking about the inner self at the age of 11 was that it led me to have a deep, deep curiosity about the inner workings of the mind. I was fascinated. And so for undergraduate, I studied cognitive psychology. I wanted to know how the mind worked, how we think the way we think, how we create the words we create. And then somatic healing, how does us all translate into our body and into our emotions? I was also curious about kinesiology and neurophysiology. So I looked at martial arts and started working at that kind of gut level. Later, when I went to Columbia University, I found that I was one of the few minorities there. And in IO psychology, I was really one of the few women at the time. So I looked at women's advancement, motivation, and organizational behavior. And what I found was that a lot of the ways that we thought, a lot of the ways that we used our time reflected in our career advancement. And so I pursued that all the way into my PhD and felt like there were so many disconnects between our day-to-day life and things that we knew to be true in the world of science. I did get a cool opportunity that I want to share with you. I got a chance for a brief time to work at New York Presbyterian Hospital in the cardiac thoracic surgery department. In fact, right before I came to Montclair, I got a chance to work with Dr. Oz. At that time, he was a cardiothoracic surgeon. It was not Oprah's doctor or America's doctor, but what he did do was he gave me the opportunity of using mind modalities, visualization, guided imagery, hypnosis, and focused attention to help people with open heart surgery and organ transplants. And I worked with them extensively, all the way from admission, all the way till post-op. And what we found was that there were some radical changes in healing, with many of them being able to leave 2 days earlier than normal and being able to use 50% less anesthesia medication and pain medication post-op. So during anesthesia, less anesthesia, and post-op, less pain medication. It really confirmed some of my beliefs about the fact that we have tremendous inner resources that we're not tapping into. And so I've followed that along and, considered doing it everywhere that I go. So we did it at Montclair. We've definitely continued to do it now. And I'm currently doing a research grant throughout the United States looking at the art industry and the creative economy. And I'm teaching 7 different collectives in different states, meditation and walking meditation and some contemplative practices in order to see if there is uplift, increased productivity, and increased creativity. And it's been going really, really well. So that's just a little bit about me and why I'm so invested in this as part of my life's work. And then comes COVID, right? And all of a sudden, we are isolated. And all of a sudden, our world is reduced to these little tiny boxes. And we are running from place to place and trying not only to take care of ourselves, but to take care of our jobs and care for the country and care for equity and care for our children and care for our parents in such a limited way. I said that I always look to my foremothers, and one of my guiding voices has been Audre Lorde. And she said, caring for myself is not a self-indulgence, it's self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare. Audre was an activist, a writer, a mother, a poet. She was a radical lesbian from Caribbean descent. She spoke for many people and came from that intersectional perspective that many of us find ourselves in. And what I love about this message was the authority and the confidence that she can give us through this message to take care of ourselves. For me, I've been trying to take care of an entire campus full of students. And so in my job, that is part of what I've been guided to do. And my students are experiencing COVID very much like a war. And when I looked into the research, it seems that the entire country is having loss and grief and isolation and panic similar to experiences of wartime. So I said, yeah, this is the time for radical self-care. This is the time to not see it as an indulgence to take a moment, but an absolute necessity. It also prompted me to share a concept with you called post-traumatic growth. Many of you have heard of it, but I want to share it. It's a theory that explains a kind of transformation that can happen when we experience trauma. It was developed by Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun in the 1990s. And they discovered that there were people who could endure psychological struggle in the face of adversity and come out seeing it in a very positive way, and that there was a positive growth that came out of this adversity. They developed new understandings about themselves. They interacted differently with the world they lived in. They adjusted to how they related to other people. Even the kind of future that they wanted changed and shifted. And they wanted to fully understand life and live fully in that life. 5 different things often show up when people are experiencing post-traumatic growth. And so it was a very powerful theory for me this year as I was looking at what I accomplished, but also some of the adjustments that I myself made. So some of the ways in which you see change when you're experiencing post-traumatic growth is appreciation of life, a different relationship with others, new possibilities for your life, personal inner strength, and for some of us, even a spiritual change, a focus in what is or could be. You might find yourself saying something like, I discovered that I'm stronger than I thought I was. Or, I know now that I can handle difficulties. I changed my priorities about what is important in my life. This post-traumatic growth is actually quite normal. And so I like to highlight it because it might be happening to you right now. And if you're beginning to feel an inkling that it might be emerging in your life, you might have an increased access to resilience that you hadn't thought about before. And let's take stock, right, of this year. This has been 1 year since COVID began. And we want to pan through our day-to-day. When did you wake up? What was your first action? What was your first meeting? Did you go from Zoom call to Zoom call to square to square to tunnel to tunnel? Have you asked someone to be quiet? How'd you do that? Did you chastise yourself for something you didn't do, like exercise or drink water? How much was on your to-do list? When COVID began, we had an endless list of ideas of all the things we were going to do differently. And yet, what we find is that we have more on our plate than ever before and less time to do it in. And we're prioritizing a ton of different tasks. But are we prioritizing ourselves right out of that list? So I want us to take a moment. I want us to be here and fill our well. Sientate. How do we nurture ourselves? How do we take the time to be here now? I talk about this well of creativity, right? So many of the folks on this call, I actually know, and I know how much you work, and I know how much you produce, and I know how much you get done. And so just imagine that if all that productivity, creativity, energy is coming out of a well, and you're scooping into it and you're creating a program and you're scooping into it and you're attending to a student and you're scooping into it and you're creating a new curriculum and you're scooping into it and you just put all your classes online and you're scooping into it and now you have to deal with a crisis and you're scooping into it and there's new staff to train and get ready. One day you're going to scoop into it and you're going to hit not too much, right? Rock bottom. So when we take the time for inspiration, when we look at something beautiful, when we take the time to go to the beach, when we gift ourselves beauty and space and poetry, we fill our well. So it's absolutely crucial to take that time to fill the well. Otherwise, next time you scoop, there might not be much there. And Audre Lorde often talks a little bit about poetry as a luminescence. In other words, even the light we choose to shine on ourselves throughout the day can gift us inspiration, can give us a new way of seeing the world. What kind of luminescence have you been giving yourself? What kind of poetry have you been feeding yourself? What kind of beauty have you been offering yourself? All of this is absolutely crucial.
Well, we gotta love technology. I'm reaching out to Esmilda to see what's going on.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. She's coming back on.
My back. All right, let me go up here.
Welcome back.
I know it's good to be back. Let's see if I can get up the share screen so we can do that for ourselves. All right, cool. We're back. Yeah. So, so as Latinas, we often see ourselves buzzing around. And one of the things I used to hear when people were buzzing around way too much was, Sientate, mujer, right? And it was always the people that cared about us the most, and probably the people that were also guilty of being busy bees, right? That told us to do exactly that because they knew that that's what they needed, right? So there's something about permission, right? Something about being able to sit down. So I wanted to offer you the same permission. Everybody here today, you have permission. Siéntate. Siéntate means sit down, but it's in the context of hospitality. It's usually ven, siéntate. And you usually expect un cafecito, a little drink, a little treat, and that you can fully be here. So, because it's Women's History Month, and I know that particularly women have a hard time with doing these things, I give you permission. And for everyone else, I give you permission as doers, right, to sit down. And so I want to talk a little bit about that concept of doing, right? Because we often think of ourselves as human beings, but we function as human doings. You see ourselves going from do to do to do to do to do, right? I want to kind of invite you to be a human being, to think about what does that look like, beingness. And know that that has a real value. There's an inner value to allowing yourself just to be. It's not lost time. It is an unlearning exercise. It is an exercise of allowing yourself to relate to yourself. When was the last time you heard your own inner stirrings? When was the last time, to quote Rumi, that you closed your eyes and fell in love? Right? It's also a time sitting down to relate to one another. Don't excuse sitting down with one another as indulgent. Take the time. And then also relate to the world around you. Smell the flowers, look at beauty, fill your well with all the silliness of life, all of the antics that go on in your house or outside your window, right? There's so many things, and life is hilarious. So if you're not laughing, you're not looking, right? So definitely be there in the moment because you don't want to miss it. How many of you here had coffee or tea this morning? Many of us, right? How
You're
many
here.
of you tasted the coffee? See, some of you, right? Did you feel the weight of the cup in your hand? Did you feel the warmth of the cup on your fingertips? Did you smell the aroma? Did you taste the sharpness or the sweetness? Did you feel the sensation of the coffee as you were swallowing it? Did you thank it for the gift? Or did you miss it altogether? So in life, we have these gifts, we have these moments, and we don't want to miss the gift of the day because we're doing. We want to be able to allow ourselves to pause and have a moment and not just go through the day. You definitely want to accept the gift of the minute and the moment and the touch and the fragrance and all of those things that you're trying to integrate. So how do we do that? How do we slow down enough to do the work, right? So I wanted to share something with you that I use all the time. It comes from the Center for Contemplative Mind in Society. And if you go to www.contemplativemind.org, you can see this tree of contemplative practices. I give it to everyone I know. I put it up on my desk, print it out, take a look. What you'll notice is at the bottom, you have communion, connection, and awareness. Anything that can bring communion with nature, with yourself, with others, with the universe, with the planet, whatever it is, and connection to thought, mind, yourself, others, and increase awareness, any of these things could be thought of as a contemplative practice. And so you'll notice that contemplative arts might be journaling or improvisation or music and singing. You might have a different branch. It's all about sitting, right? That's meditation and silence and prayer, right? You might have generative practices like beholding. When did you last look at a loved one and beheld them as a gift to you? When was the last time you looked at a piece of art or a gorgeous piece of furniture or nature and beheld it as a gift to you? Took the time. Any kind of act of loving compassion, it can be generative. So there's creative, there's relational, there's movement, there's song, there's ritual. there's stillness, and there's also activism. And I love that that's on there because it's the way in which we adjust the world. I remember when I used to work in Montclair, they said, well, Esmilda is not a thermometer, she's a thermostat. And when that meant that if it was cool, we needed to make it a little warmer. And if it was too hot, we needed to cool it down, right? And in our lives, sometimes activism gives us that opportunity. And so I loved that a message was sent out, against anti-Asian hate yesterday, that there was time taken for that restructuring, recalibrating of our climate. That's valuable, and that counts as a contemplative practice. And so I wanted to share that because I think there's a lot of mindfulness practices at work and in your life and in your neighborhood that you don't see as contemplative. And you ought to. You ought to be able to say, oh, that's on my tree, right? So the other thing you can download is an empty tree. And I wanted to give you that because there's some things on the first tree that I didn't see. I didn't see some things that I did. Like I pay the bills with gratitude. Been doing it for years. I give thanks for being able to do so. I do it mindfully. Some people eat mindfully, paying attention to the flavors and the tastes. Others cook that way. Others want to be able to share time with their family. So what is on your tree? What branches do you have, right, that might be valuable to add to this tree, right? And I think it's important because culture also dictates how we experience a moment of connection and communion and awareness. So is there someone who sings to you? Is there a kind of music in your culture that revitalizes you, that you can feel connected with something higher than yourself? If that's the case, then that is on your tree, right? So I wanted to share that with you. And there's a ton of ways to integrate some of the things we're going to be talking about today, these mindfulness, contemplative practices with anti-oppression pedagogy. So if you're interested in that kind of work, there's all kinds of scholars like Beth Barella, who is working on doing exactly that. So I share that with you because I think COVID has made us aware of many things. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the concept of micro practices. These are small daily adjustments that you can gift yourself, teeny things, right? So people are like, oh, I'm going to change my whole life. I'm going to do all these healthy things, right? And then they find that they don't do them. So one of the ways you might want to approach that is this concept of micro practices. I might not drink as much water as I want to a day, but if I carry water to my work area every day, that's a micro practice. It's putting it closer to where I might do it. I might not sit and meditate as long as I'd hoped to today, but if I can sit at all, if I can just sit at all, be still at all, that's a micro practice that might get me closer to doing it. The person who shared this practice thought or this idea with me said that they used it with a colleague who used to rush around campus. I don't know if you've seen these people that are just like speeding. You can't talk to them. There's no access to them. So the micro practice that she was given was force yourself to walk slowly from the parking lot to your office. Force yourself. Be connected. And so by slowing down the walking, all of a sudden, all these people had access to her and came up to her and talked to her and connected with her. And it was exactly the right thing. So look around. What can you do a little bit that might open space for more, right? You don't always have to go all the way to the end. It doesn't always have to happen. The neurophysiologists have discovered that every thought that you think creates some sort of connective element, almost like a tree. And you just grow that little branch, grow it. So every bit counts. Every bit counts. And so I just wanted to share that with everyone. The other thing is I wanted to talk a little bit about mindful unlearning. Mindful unlearning has to do with giving space to sensations, thoughts, ideas, and behaviors. It's not about shitting on yourself and telling yourself all the wrong things you're doing. It's not about stopping necessarily everything you're doing or, being harsh in your correction. The idea of mindful unlearning is to be open to new information that might inform you about what you already hold. So you hold knowledge, you know things. What else could you add? What perspectives could be new that might give you a different light on the issue? What experiences might you partake in that might give you another vantage point? I remember speaking to a friend of mine who's Sikh, and he said that there was no loss, there was no subtraction, only addition. I recently lost my grandmother. She was 92 years old this year. And I thought of him, and I thought about loss and grief. And then I said, oh, there's no subtraction. There's only addition. So I challenged myself to unlearn mourning. I challenged myself when I thought of all the memories and all the lessons and all of the inspiration that she gave me to fill my well every day of my life. And all of a sudden, there was new information about my grandmother and a new perspective. And it opened up the way I saw her passing. And so I loved the idea of unlearning. What can you add to your experiences that might cultivate a new way of experiencing your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior? The other one that I wanted to share with you is this concept of cultivating the witness. We watch ourselves. The subconscious mind never, ever ends. It never slows down. It never stops. When I did the work, I was New York Presbyterian's first full-time hypnotist. So I had him on my card at the hospital, hypnotist. It was very funny. But what I did was I helped people, like I said, with open heart surgery and organ transplant. And we did an experiment as part of the research team to see how memory operated during open heart surgery. So here was a person with their blood through a perfusion machine, right? Their chest cavity is open. Their heart is beating. The surgeon is working. We're playing something like 29 different styles of music. Bachata, classical, Sufi music, all kinds of different music randomized. And then we found out that 99% recall was possible. So here's a person fully anesthetized, fully paralyzed, having their blood through a perfusion machine, but there was a 99% recall. What was witnessing them? What breathes you? Who breathes you? How do you see yourself being yourself? Fascinating. And so we can cultivate that witness, that person, that aspect, that component of ourselves that watches ourselves be ourselves, right? And we can also cultivate it in order to be bigger than our emotions, bigger than our reactions, and bigger than our impulse. And a time like now, where we have to be careful about every button we press, every person we come in touch with, every aspect of our investment in our lives, this is even more important than ever before, right? So we need to be bigger than our emotion. We need to pull away from our instinct to just do and instead pause. Take a moment. Breathe before reacting. The pause itself is a response. The pause itself is a response. And in 9 seconds of pause, you can make much better choices. All right? So cultivating the witness allows us to be fully present and have a better ability to make better choices. There's a hierarchy of choices that I want to share with you. You know, the first and lowest realm of choices is when you're completely procrastinating and completely undecided. I don't know about you, but sometimes I habitate that realm, right? I procrastinate, I'm indecisive, I don't know what to do, it's down here. But then there's the impulse decisions, you know, I just do it. I don't know what the consequence will be, I just do it, right? And then if you go a little bit higher up the hierarchy, you might have pressure from others. No, just do this, Esmilda. No, just do that, Esmilda. Just do it this way, right? You have all this pressure. Then you have habit. Well, that's just what I do. That's just how I do it, right? Habit, guiding your decisions. But the best way, or the highest way in which you can access healthier, better, more empowered choices is to have conscious choices, which is at the very top of the hierarchy. Conscious choices means that you are aware of why and how and when and with whom you choose to do something. So we have a think, feel, decide neuro strategy. We think things, we feel things, we decide things. That's the way we react to everything. Someone taps us on the shoulder, we think someone tapped us. We feel the tap almost simultaneously, almost in the same moment. And then we choose to turn, right? We do this all the time. Conscious choices means that there is that pause in order to be able to decide with real authority, with real guidance, and hopefully more in alignment with who you are and what you value. The last skill that I wanted to talk about, I guess, is non-judgmental awareness. And this means literally trying not to judge. This is hard. We heal ourselves and we heal the world by the object of concentration, guided by the breath, so that we can cultivate a concentrated mind. We distance ourselves from the event just enough to provide a pause for analysis of the event before we act. And in that pause, we often judge, good or bad. What if we didn't? What if we had a thought and we didn't have it land? We didn't give it a home. We didn't evaluate it. We didn't give it a name, and we just let it go. What if that happened? How might your life be different? And so I want to share a Taoist poem with you. It's called Maybe, and you might have heard it before. It's a story about an old farmer who worked on his crops for many years. One day, his horse ran away. Upon hearing the news, his neighbors came to visit. Such bad luck, they said. Oh, they were sympathizing with him so much. It was terrible. And the farmer said, maybe. The next morning, the horse returned, bringing with it 3 other wild horses. What bounty! The neighbors exclaimed, that's so wonderful, how wonderful! And the old man said, maybe. The following day, his son tried to ride one of the untamed horses, and he was thrown and he broke his leg. And the neighbors came again and offered their sympathy. Oh, the terrible misfortune. It was awful. I feel so terrible. And the farmer answered, maybe. The day after, the military officials came to the village to draft the young men for the army. All men were taken, but seeing that the son's leg was broken, they passed him by. The neighbors congratulated the farmer on how well things had turned out. And the farmer replied, maybe. Maybe. We don't know, right? So this idea of non-judgment allows for tremendous ability to see life as it's unfolding and accept the gift that it's giving you while being able to act with agency and consciousness. I believe that life is learning, right? And we're learning at an emotional level, we're learning at a social level, and we're learning at ethical levels. Who are we? Who ought we be? Who are we becoming? And so I love this model that I wanted to share with you. This one basically talks a little bit about social, emotional, and ethical learning with compassion. Usually what you'll find is in our awareness campaigns, we often think about giving awareness and then going right into regulation. We know we shouldn't do this, so we're going to put in this policy. Or we have interpersonal awareness. Oh, every time those people get together or these people get together, this happens. So we've got to teach them how to relate this way. Or we have a whole system where we know we're interdependent. So we're going to have to create some sort of community norms and structure. And we tend to go from the awareness to the engagement without putting in the human piece, the human beingness, the compassion. If you think about how important it is to have self-compassion, compassion for others, and recognizing common humanity, you begin to notice that that's a bridge that gives us permission to be loving and kind and patient as we're making our adjustments to the right self-regulatory behavior, right? So I love this model. I share this model wherever I can because compassion is a practice that the mind not only knows how to do, but also lights up different parts of your mind. So your brain literally looks different when you're being compassionate. And the health benefits are endless. It's something that actually pushes your vitality, your memory, your productivity, your creativity. So compassion is one of those muscles that we want to pay attention to. And it is definitely part of the missing ingredient for self-care. And I'll tell you why. When I'm part of a group called Mind and Life, and they have an interest in bringing neuroscientists together with spiritual scholars and practitioners. And the Tibetan monks that were with me at the last conference said, Americans, they have a hard time with self-compassion. And I said, really? He goes, yeah, we don't have to talk about self-compassion. Compassion for us is everything. It's one people, one planet, one heartbeat. And I went, huh. And you're part of that, you count. And they're like, yeah, we count. And Americans tend to say, I have compassion for others, but then they're really tough on themselves. And I thought, that's interesting. That's an interesting perspective. I'm gonna play with that one around. But I found that when I talk about self-compassion, people treat it the same way as Sientate. They need permission. So I'm gonna give you permission to have all the self-compassion that you can handle. Be kind to yourself, forgive yourself, do not shit on yourself, I always say, right? There's no getting it wrong. It's perfect every time, right? If it's conscious, if it's meaningful, if there's reflection, all of this is really important. The Dalai Lama says, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. The other bit I wanted to talk about is your constellation of care. Who is around you to love you? Who is around you to care for you? These people are there for you to uplift you, inform you, support you, mentor you. Think about your constellation. In fact, I would say name each star in your constellation. You have so many stars. Some of them are really close, and so you see them all the time. Some of them are glimmering at the edges, but name them. I never met Audre Lorde, but she is in my constellation of care because through her words, she illuminated my life. She gave me poetry and gave me direction. She's in my constellation. Who's in your constellation? Think about that. I know that for me, and some of you know that I went through this, my husband had a stroke at the age of 45 and changed everything. All of a sudden, he went from being a, senior publisher and a martial artist in several different disciplines, a great father, a really involved community member, to someone who could no longer talk, walk, eat, or communicate. It changed everything for me. And if it hadn't been for even so many people that are in this workshop right now, if it hadn't been for my constellation, my stars coming at, shining at, giving me their life and their light, I wouldn't have made it. Wouldn't have made it. I know that for a fact. And allowing these folk to gift you their love, their light, their attention, and their care is radical self-care. How many people have you pushed away and said, no, I don't need the help? Well, yes, you do. Because you're not alone in the world, right? And here you are with them. Receive your stars. I have to tell you, Mike is driving, he's talking, he's participating in the world. He's made tremendous healing. He goes up and down stairs. He is involved with his children, involved with community and teaching doctors and nurses and speech pathologists what it's like to work with people with strokes at a young age and aphasia. So he's going all around the country now. He wouldn't have imagined that life, but I wouldn't have made it, and he wouldn't have made it without every single touch point, every single star in our constellation of care. Absolutely cultivate your constellation. Cultivate it, love it up. And be here. Be here right now. Don't miss a thing. Life is short, right? And oftentimes we conflate past, present, and future as if it's all one thing. It's not. The past already happened. The future hasn't happened yet. The only place that you have agency and power is in the now. It's right here, today, this minute, this second is where you have power. Not in the future, not in the past. We spend so much of our day rehashing what we could have done differently. Rehash, rethink, or rehearse. Oh, this is what I'm going to say in that email, and that's what I'm going to tell that person. And this, right? Rehashing and rehearsing, so separate from the present moment. I want to tell a story a little bit about me in a new job. I was a very young professional, and I really needed this job. And it took several buses and walking to get there. And I was on the second bus, and I was like waiting for it, and I was late. And I knew that my boss was going to see me walking across and being late. And I started getting this little heartbeat thing going on, and I just started getting agitated, and I practiced what we call the 3 questions. Ready? I said, Esmilda, where are you right now? I said, I'm in front of the bus stop. Good. And what are you doing? I'm standing. And this minute, this second, how are you? I'm fine, right? And my heart rate evened out, and I just kind of composed myself. And the bus came, and I got a seat, and I sat down, and everything was great. And then I was getting closer, And I got agitated again because I knew I was going to be late, and I started looking at my watch, right? And I'm like, oh boy, what's going on? And I said, Esmilda, where are you? I'm sitting on the bus. And what are you doing right now? Just sitting. Okay. And this second, this moment, how are you? I'm fine. I'm fine. So the door opened and I got off the bus and I started walking to the building, right? And just as I got to the door and I was about to open the door to the building, I started getting nervous because now I know, like, I'm going to be walking across that desk and they're going to see me and then I get to my office and then I just get all agitated, right? And I went, Esmilda, where are you? Right now. I'm in front of the door. And what are you doing? I'm opening the door. And right this second, how are you? I'm fine. I opened the door. I walked across the hallway. I passed my boss's office and they were late. So the whole thing was for nothing. Never saw it. No consequence. Total future projection that never occurred, right? But my body felt every bit of that biochemical, right? Or the cortisol, all of those agitating hormones, right? All of that for nothing. Pa qué, pa na, right? So this is the kind of thing that we can benefit from when we're right here now. One of my favorite ways that I applied those 3 questions, where am I right now? What am I doing? And how am I? Was with a young soldier, and she was a meditator, a breather, and a runner. And she lost a lung. And she was rehashing all the loss of all the potential that she was not going to be able to do now without her lung. And she was rehearsing all of the things in the future that were going to be blocked off to her. And what we found was that when she asked herself those questions, she got stronger every day. And because she was a breather, she was able to teach her lung to occupy the entire cavity. And so we have this ability to use our full lung capacity with one lung. So she was able to do that. But getting to that point where she allowed herself to develop that ability to breathe at full capacity and do all those things she wanted to do required moment to moment to moment conscious decision making. And those questions guided her. So wanted to make sure that you didn't miss a bit of your life. How am I doing with time? We're okay? All right.
Okay.
Good.
You know, we can go on the whole entire afternoon.
Because I do want to give you a taste of meditation, right? This guided imagery that I'm going to do with you is going to focus on inner peace and gratitude. So if you could allow yourself to be comfortable wherever you are, that means nothing on your lap. For some of us, it might mean our foot are placed on the ground. We have back support, whatever it means. And you can definitely go lie down or do whatever it is that you need to do in order to feel fully present. But the Dalai Lama says that the roots of goodness lie in the soil of appreciation. And so what we're going to do is through this guided imagery practice, we're going to go deep into the state of appreciation. So take a breath, exhaling comfortably. Take another deep breath, exhaling comfortably. Good. Each time you breathe from here on in, you might imagine that the whole world is allowing you to relax. You're about to participate in a very interactive experience using your vivid imagination, your full consciousness, your full heart. Take another deep breath, exhaling comfortably. Allowing the breath to flow out through your rib cage, spreading relaxation throughout your entire body. Feel the relaxation as I talk to you. Allow all the sounds around you to help you relax, all the sensations to be an ally to you and your wellness. Relax the muscle groups around your face for a moment. Relax your scalp, your forehead, your eyebrows. Imagine that the space between your eyebrows is wide. Cool forehead, easy eyebrows, heavy eyelids, almost as if each eyelash had a tiny weight on it. Relax your eyes. Allow the relaxation to go past your cheeks, past your nose, to your mouth and lips. Make sure that your teeth are not clenched together. Relax your mouth. If you have a need to swallow, it's perfectly okay to do so. Allow the muscle groups around your mouth, lips, and jaw to fully relax. Allow your neck muscles to relax. Lengthen your neck muscles. The front part of your neck, and the back part of your neck. Relaxation going right down to your shoulders. Sometimes we feel that we have the weight of the world on our shoulders, if only for a moment. Shrug it off. Let it go. Relax your shoulders. Get rid of any tension that might be in your shoulders and arms, your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms. Relax your wrists, your hands. Even your fingertips can let go. You might imagine that you're in a warm shower with all the water just washing away all tightness, all tension, all concern. Droplets falling off your fingertips and getting washed away. Leaving your arms loose and limp, heavy, loose and limp, and at ease. Warm hands, easy body. Allow yourself to breathe comfortably. And notice how deep and regular your breathing has become just after a few moments from when you started. Feel your breathing. Feel the rhythm of your breathing. Notice the contraction and expansion of your diaphragm and chest. Allow your chest muscles to relax completely. Right down through to your stomach. This is an area of our body where we often hold a lot of tension and tightness, if only for a moment. Let all that tension go. Melt the tension away like you might melt a cup of sugar with hot water. Let that sweet relaxation enter your torso so fully, so completely, that it reaches your back muscles. Those large muscle groups in the upper part of your back, right down to the spinal column and into your lower back. Lengthen the muscles of your back. Relax your back. And allow the relaxation to reach your hips, thighs, knees, calves, ankles, even your feet. The tops of your feet, and the soles of your feet. It's a wonderful feeling to be relaxed, a very normal and natural state of being. You can even deepen the relaxation going all the way through your muscles to every ligament, every tendon, all the way down to your bones. Some people, when they're relaxed, they begin to feel sensations in their body, some tingling, some heaviness, some lightness. All these are wonderful signs that you're relaxed. Cool forehead, warm hands, open chest, relaxed body. In a moment, I'm going to guide you to a beautiful place. You might imagine that it's a special place in your life, a place of ease and peace, a place of kindness. This is a place where you feel good. This is a place where you look good. So just imagine that you get closer to this place of calm, relaxation, and joy as I begin to count. And I'll count from 1 to 20. And when I get to 20, you can allow yourself to be fully surrounded with the sensations, emotions, and feelings of this wonderful, beautiful place. 1, 2, very relaxed. 3, 4, tired and drowsy. 5, 6, just letting go. It's very easy. 7, 8, deep, deep relaxation. 9, 10, tired and letting go. 12, all the way down deep now. 13, 14, easy, easy. 15, 16, just letting go. 17, 18, deep relaxation. 19, and finally, 20, this wonderful, easy state of relaxation, received with maybe the emotions, images, and impressions of a beautiful place, a special place in your life, a place where you can experience symptoms, severe symptoms of inner peace, a place where you find yourself grateful for every aspect of your life. A tendency to think and act spontaneously begins to kind of bubble up inside you. You find yourself with an unmistakable ability to enjoy each and every moment. In this place, you find yourself completely uninterested in judging yourself, completely uninterested in judging other people. You find yourself grateful for peace. You find yourself with a loss of ability to worry. You have frequent and overwhelming episodes of appreciation that light up your day. Deep gratitude shine on you, and you have frequent attacks of smiling through the eyes of the heart. You find yourself increasingly susceptible to love, to extend love to others, and to accept love. You find yourself with an ability to let things happen. You find yourself with an inner smile and a contented step. In a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, and you can bring back with you any aspect of this experience that was helpful, that was beneficial, that gave you light, that gave you clarity, and leave behind all tension, all tightness, all worries, and all concerns. 1, beginning to allow yourself to relax and become conscious. Eyes beginning to open. 3, calm and at ease. 4, eyes beginning to flicker. And 5, eyes open, fully present, and back. Feeling good, feeling calm. All right. How was that? Looks like folks are experiencing calm. We like it. I do want to get a chance to have folks be able to ask questions, give feedback, and talk. But before I do that, I wanted to leave you with one extra thing, and that is advice from my grandmother. So she said, at the end of each day, Esmilda, you sit down and you have algo dulce, alguito dulce, just a little bit, something sweet, a little bit sweet, right? And you enjoy that. And for her, it was usually some sort of candy or some sort of pastry or some sort of moment. But what I've noticed is that at the end of every day, algo dulce can be a poem, can be holding hands with someone, can be any kind of kindness or sweetness that you can infuse into your day, you know? And give yourself permission. Don't go to sleep without algo dulce, right? Because that's going to definitely fill your well. And so it's always nice to come home. It's always nice to come back to Montclair. And I do want to offer us a chance for reflection and conversation. So just for a moment, take a time and think of one insight that you can use, apply, take away from today's conversation. Hold it, and then give it a shot, apply it. Thank you very much, everybody.
Wow. It's hard to come back from this because I think we're also relaxed and zen.
You don't have to come back, you just have to be.
Yeah.
Be here now. That's it. That's it. That's
yeah,
all.
there's been wonderful comments in the chat. If anyone wants to ask a question to Esmilda, you can unmute yourself and ask away.
Here's what I know. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, if you're hesitating, you probably have a question. Yeah, go ahead.
Esmilda, not a question, but just a comment. I miss you.
I miss you too, Milton. It's so good to see your face. I just want to hug you up.
We have a question from Mario.
Hello, thank you so much for that. I wanted to see if you had any resources. That visual relaxation technique, I need that in my life regularly. And I've tried to find YouTube videos and things that do that. Is there a resource that you would recommend that we can access easily other than maybe playing the recording of this session regularly?
So there are many, many resources. And so one of the things that I started at Pratt Institute, where I used to work, is a program called MISA, Mindfulness in Student Affairs. And I am happy to share the resource toolkit that we created with anyone that thinks it would be beneficial. I know that this kind of work builds, it's scaffolded, right? And you can build strengths that kind of go into unexpected places. I'm always happy to help resources. So I will send that to Carmen, and then maybe she can get that out to everybody who participated, because the toolkit is wonderful. And there's all kinds of organizations that are making this a priority. So absolutely, there's tapes, there's recorded sessions, and there's also exercises that you can do. Yeah, thanks for that. Oh, there it is. Melissa got it. Commons.pratt.edu, mindfulness collaboratory. That's it. That's our stuff. So you can definitely grab hold of that. Yeah. Also, that contemplativemind.org place that I talked to you about is wonderful. Mind and Society is also wonderful.
We have recorded this event, so we're hoping to maybe put it in our website and have it available. Sorry, I have a puppy that wants to go out.
That's part of your self-care. I think that's really important. I know that I count on my colleague, Sammy. I have a dog, and she takes good care of me. She also meditates with me every single day.
It's funny because while we were doing the meditation, he was laying by my feet, and and he was very relaxed where he fell asleep.
Yeah,
So-
you'll find that they get into it. They learn the rhythm right away, and they'll help you and support you with your, making time, for sure.
Not sure if there's any comments, but before we end the program today, we can't thank you enough for being with us today. Every time we see you and we hear you, you feel us with so much love and knowledge, and so many techniques that we can take away. You are one of my stars in my constellation, and I'm going to be using that from now on. And you're always so generous with your time and with yourself. And we know that you're super busy, but thank you for coming back to Montclair, to coming back to our caucus. We want to bring you back permanently so you can be here. But we can't thank you enough for giving us this amazing hour and a half of yourself and all that you bring. And I know that I speak for everyone because the chat has been a lot of wonderful comments, and you're pretty much, you're very loved and appreciated, Annabelle.
Oh, thank you so much. It really means a lot. And I think the best thing you can do is to share the work. The very best thing you can do is to share it, to talk about it, to, I say, be generous with your speech, giving with your heart. We often are so practical about our day that we don't share. And there is a generosity of spirit that is really wonderful. It gives you back way more than you give. And so if you have a thought, if you have an opinion, if you have an insight, share it. You never know who needs to hear it.
We also want to thank our President's Commission of Affirmative Action for sponsoring this event with us. And we're also very much part of it when you were at MSU. And I also want to thank our e-board, Johnny, Melissa, Jessica, Mary for sending that last day up today. Mary, you're also one of my stars, and always for being so present, taking double role at the in the caucus. Thank you so much for your generosity and for who you are, and for all you give us every day. Thank you so much, Mary.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We're gonna stay so people can those of you that we're gonna stay until about 2 o'clock. So if you want to stay and have a little private chat with Esmilda, you don't have to log off. But thank you so much for coming, and hopefully you can join us at our monthly meetings. You can be part of the Latino Caucus, the Latinx Caucus, and the conversation continues and the healing continues. So vamos a sentarnos otras veces y relajarnos y hablar. But I took so much away today, and I think that most of you that were here did the same.
I just wanted to share something. Esmilda, hi, my name is Jane. I've never had the pleasure of meeting you, but obviously you're very loved. And I just wanted to say, going through an exercise like this or pausing in our day to, like you said, take care of ourselves has obviously been a gift, but I have to say this is the first time I've ever been guided through a meditation by a Latina. So on Latina Day, especially, I'm just like, I think that in itself has made it that much more special and just resonating with me. So thank you for sharing your gifts with us. And honestly, it's like a pleasure to be here with all of you today. It was great.
Oh, you made my day. That was great.
Yeah.
That was great. Thank you. I'm Dominican, so for me, the mix between the indigenous, the African, and the European is very much something that we talk about and we feel. And all of those traditions have such deep contemplative practices. That you telling me this is the first time you were guided through a Latina, I think is what I'm talking about, that we can definitely share with one another, right? Because we have such deep roots in contemplative practices, in spirit, in really bringing strength to one another. It's our makeup. It's what we're about. Super
Absolutely.
great.
Thank
Very
you.
cool talking to you.
Yeah, same
So
to you,
we're gonna have to do
everybody.
a cafecito sometime.
Oh,
Yes, let's do it.
Well, for sure. Jane, we have to do this on campus. And when you get to meet her face to face and she gives you a hug, as she knew you your whole life, it's so worth it.
Well,
So-
hopefully we can definitely look forward to something. I have to run, but thank you all. This was great. Thank you, Esmilda.
Take care. See you on campus.
Esmilda, are you able to remove the PowerPoint share so that we can get the
Yeah.
gallery view?
Yeah, I'll
You
stop
can
sharing.
see more faces. Yeah, thank you.
Sounds good.
Great, thank you.
Ah,
I
that's
see,
beautiful.
wait, I see
beautiful
Becky.
solution.
Becky, I love you.
It's so good to see you, Becky. Becky was
Oh.
my GA extraordinaire at the Women's Center.
How's the baby? Not so much of a baby.
He is 17 months now
Uh,
and on top of my kitchen table.
Oh, you gotta send me a picture. I gotta see, because he was just like almost a newborn when we saw each other last.
Yeah, he has been, he is my reminder for mindfulness, that he's the one who makes sure I get away from the computer at least a couple hours a day. So he comes home from school and it's like, okay, we got to do this. But yes. And seeing Esmilda, it's like, it's like basking in the sun. Just a warm, happy day.
I have to have time with him so I can get my algo dulce, right? Something sweet,
Yes.
delicious.
That is so true about the algo dulce, right? And sometimes we don't do that. We don't pause to do that one sweet thing for ourselves.
yeah, I think a lot of us can relate to that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like shutting my computer.
Well, I will say this. The micro practices thing is real. Okay. So I'll offer you this 50-minute meetings, 45-minute meetings, hour-long meetings in person is one thing.
Mhm.
Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting without a breath is not for our monkey selves, right? So in Hindu faith, we have Hanuman, and he is the monkey god because he reminds us that we are physical, we're an animal body, right? If you look into Hanuman's eyes, he is divine and we're connected to God. But this body needs movement. This body needs water. This body needs, so we can't be doing tunnel to tunnel to tunnel meetings. I offer you 50, 45-minute meetings. It's a small change, teeny, but it can make a world of difference. Yeah. So try to think, what can I do that can humanize my day? Where can I be to truly feel myself, right? So even like changing locations, getting off the computer and just doing a phone call so you can walk. I had a friend who literally did her entire meeting on a treadmill. Yeah, Miss Thing just propped up her phone and just did her meeting and she was there. And I was like, hey, that's right. Because you know what? Next semester it might not be possible. We might not be able to be back and forth the way we are between home and campus. So why not? Why not? Right. So I was just like, that is fabulous. And I'm learning, right? So all of those kindnesses are really important. So tell me about the caucus. What are y'all up to now that you've become a Hispanic serving institution and all those things that we were up to? What's
Well,
new?
this was the highlight of our year, I can tell you that.
We got to live a little. We have to do something different.
No, this is, and Christopher's still on. So Christopher's
sure
always our
am.
supporter. We love Christopher. And the
I
people
stalk
that
him
he
on
leads.
LinkedIn.
Yeah,
I know what he's up to.
It's a welcome stalking, Esmilda, so no problem. And I am walking away with that micro practice concept.
Yeah.
I'm going to use it most definitely.
Oh, I'm telling you, even if it's one piece of broccoli on your plate, I'm telling you, there's something about it. I swear, just one little tiny thing opens up space.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
one of those people that walk around with the water bottle and not taking sips.
It's okay. You're working another muscle then. You know what I mean? It still works.
But Chris, always so good to see you. Always so supportive. Uno de
My
nuestros
pleasure.
hermanos queridos.
You are my brothers and sisters. I love you, and I thank you for letting us be a part of this journey.
Sweet.
Thank you.
It's so much fun to see your faces, Pam. I'm seeing you. So cool.
Esmilda. Oh, sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Just going off to advisement. Bless everybody.
Take
Talk to
care.
you
Say
soon.
hi to everybody.
Chris.
See you.
Esmilda, we haven't met in person, but I'm glad to have met you here. Nuestra raza dominicana pa'lante.
Same.
This was very helpful. Thank you so much. I'm actually going to just keep the recording so I can record to the meditation. I can fast forward to the meditation part and just keep doing that. I've actually, for the past year, this past January was, it was a year that I started meditating every morning nonstop. And it has changed my life in ways that I would have never imagined. And so I'm with you 110%, but I will, if I can meditate a few times a day, I would.
Well,
Because it makes such a difference.
one of the things that is also important to remember is that meditation doesn't happen with your eyes closed, right? Meditation happens anytime that you focus your attention. So we might not be able to sit several times a day, but we can do walking meditation. So we can have slow, intentional walks to the next meeting. Slow, intentional walks as we rock the baby. Slow, intentional walks as we get something done. You don't have to meditate with your eyes closed. Doing the dishes mindfully, meditation, right? You know, doing a bike ride mindfully is meditation.
You're right.
So all of this, you know, you've got to be at this particular angle facing the sun and the moon and the stars, and you've got to be upright and you've got to do lotus position. That's a discipline and that's fine. But there's no law saying that that's the way you have to do it.
That you have to
because the body benefits no matter what. So just be kind to yourself, you know, start a little bit and then just keep going. But I love that you're already doing it every day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Rosie, that's great.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Very cool to meet you.
Same here. And I wish that one day I can meet you in person so you can give me a nice warm hug.
I will. I'm known for it. I used to actually have to like warn people. I'm like, I'm a hugger.
Yeah, so am I.
Viviana, raise her hand.
Yeah, Viviana.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well, I have a 2 o'clock,
oh.
so I gotta go, but it was so nice. Thank you so much for joining.
Really great
Joining.
meeting
Be safe.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Esmilda, it's so great to share space with you always. My very first week on campus, I looked for you, having never met you because of my mentor, Rosario Reyes, who
That's right. I love Rosario.
spoke amazing things about you at Seton Hall. And, you know, when I got to your office, I understood why she sent me there, right? Because it felt very much like her office. It felt like home. And you made me a cafecito. And we sat on a couch and we talked, right? And that I think is such a gift to give people your time and be present with them, to take that moment, which you gave us today again. And it just reminded me of meeting you that first time. It brought me back to that moment. So thank you.
I remember we talked about the best Mediterranean food and really went out of our way to sample a variety of different sandwiches. We actually had a whole exchange. It was really good. So
Well,
I love the chat. So Carmen, I'm gonna see if there's a way that I can get access to the chat, because I think the questions are really relevant and it'll
I'll
guide me.
have the chat, Esmilda, so I'll just save it and
Even better. Okay.
Well, once again, te adoro. We don't want to let you go, but it's, you also have given us way so much. And I know that you have a lot on your plate, a lot of work to do in the rest of the afternoon. And again, mi amiga.
All right. Well, anytime,
We'll be
come
in
visit me at Manhattan College. I will.
Of course,
give
yes.
more. It'll be
We have
fun.
a lot of invitations pending, So definitely a do-over on campus. I mean, we have to be positive, and this too shall pass. And can't wait. It was great to, that the vibe here was amazing today.
Yeah, I'm gonna offer you the other thing is do tea times with each other. Everybody gets their own cup of tea. Everybody sits down. Everybody, just shares, because we're just getting through this, right? So 10 minutes hanging out is a real gift. So
Melissa have the water cooler, right?
exactly. We used to have the water cooler. Now
Yeah,
you need
Melissa-
tea time. So, and by the way, Melissa, your Alice Walker quote, loves, keeping that one.
I think, yeah, I think like you introduced me to so many things and so many people and so many thought leaders that it was just like, oh my gosh, how do students not have you here at Montclair? Like, we need you now more than ever.
They have you. They have you, Mrs. Octavia Butler, right on your screen. I see you.
I thank you. But seriously, whatever I can do in the future, and I just I'm so incredibly grateful.
Very cool.
Well, with that,
all right.
Love you all.
See you. Thank you for organizing this.
Y será hasta la próxima. Until next time.
Hasta la próxima.
Vicky, I want to see that pictures of that beautiful baby.
I will. Be careful. I'll subscribe you.
Don't worry.
All you have to do is hold